Hey guys, the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for February 25th, 2024. We're going to be discussing some stuff tonight, like betting futures for NHL, maybe NBA, Game of Thrones talk, because our co-host here has watched Game of Thrones for the first time. So looking forward to hearing his thoughts on that. And also some other things I'm sure will come up in the conversations as usual. This is the tooth extraction special. As I said a couple of days ago, I was getting my tooth pulled today. It was pretty painful, and I'm somehow here. So Quacky's going to have to take the lead at some point. But I think
not with the Game of Thrones chat. I don't know. Right. I don't know about that. Hold on. Was this the root canal that you were talking about?
Oh no. Well, I've had root canals. This is tooth extraction, which is worse.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to call you out because like a couple months ago, you were telling me that a root canal isn't that painful, and then heard I didn't know there was. I mean, I guess that was kind of dumb of me. There has to be a difference, right? Like they just had to pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, a root canal, your tooth's still there. They just put a crown on it. But yeah, tooth extraction, the tooth's gone forever. I didn't
know that either. I thought a root canal was just like pulling like the whole thing out.
No, they kill the root for the root canal.
Oh. Wow. Who knew this would be? I used to be an anti-dentite. So
nice. Love it. Love the Seinfeld reference. We're joined by QuackyTake. Tom, how are you?
I'm good, man. A lot of good things. Has it already been 2 weeks since the Super Bowl? It actually feels like it's been longer than that.
Yeah, I mean February's almost over. So 5 more days?
Yeah. So I guess it was just 2 weeks ago. But we've been enjoying some success in the NHL lately. I'm so upset that hockey's gone. I think hockey has always been the best sport that I've not always actually more recently discovered. So opposite of what I just said. Recently, it's been the best sport I've been handicapping. So, and I've been giving you some winners lately, which has been cool. I know me and Jacob and some of the viewers as well were getting in on that. So,
yeah, we'll get into that for sure. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would mean a lot to us. Please consider super chats as well. We make no money from YouTube ads, $1.50 at most, which used to be a lot back in the day, but it's not now. You can't even buy a cheeseburger at McDonald's for that price. So please please consider super chats. Would really appreciate it. We've gotten some great super chats lately, and if you really want to help support the show, keep it going. It's a great way to do that. Also, by the way, what'd you say?
I just said we appreciate you guys. So thank you for all the support.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, just leave comments about anything. We'll answer everything and anything. And also, I mean, with the super chats, it could also go toward the tooth extraction, which is do you want to take a guess as to how much it set me back?
I'm not good at these guessing games as we found out with hey, what's up, Brandon? How's it going, man? Thanks for coming by. Because I feel like I'm either going to be way off or I'm going to be way off in one direction. I don't know. $3,000. I don't know.
Well, the extraction itself is $1,200, but then the implant is like $2,500. So your combined is pretty close. I wish it was $452 as John guessed. Definitely, it's $1,200 today, and then it's going to be another $2,000 to $2,500 for the implant, which is ridiculous.
Go ahead.
No, I get the implant being a lot because like you actually have to build something, fake tooth. But like the extraction, the guy's just pulling the tooth out. Like, I mean, you're paying for the anesthetic, obviously, but like, and the labor. But it was like an hour and 10-minute process. Because like half my tooth was missing already. That was part of the problem. I had a huge filling there. I got like 20 years ago by my dentist. My dentist back in the day was like this smoking hot woman. So she put this metal filling in like 20 years ago, and it lasted all this time. But then it like I took a bite of an apple the other day, and like just like half of it fell off, and I was like, oh man, half my tooth is missing. And like I went to the dentist, and he's like, yeah, you got to get this pulled. So that's what I did today. Yeah.
I bet you were rooting to have some cavities when you went to the hot.
Yeah. It was I was definitely it was nice playing words there. The rooting.
No, you don't. Did I ever? No, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say. I'm sorry.
No, we actually hung out once outside of the dental office too. It was pretty cool. She's a little older than me, and and I was kind of confused because I thought she had a boyfriend the entire time. But yeah, it was I don't know, it was pretty cool. But yeah, she's I don't think she's even living in this country anymore. So
Walt dates a dentist.
Yeah,
in your heyday. No.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had. I actually was telling you this almost exactly a year ago today. Funny enough, I've never had a cavity. I've never had braces. I never had my wisdom teeth out. But like, I'm worried. Like one day I'm gonna. This is so stupid, but like I'm worried one day I'm gonna go there and have like a laundry list of problems. I don't know why. Like I just feel like the luck has got to run out. How can that? Like I don't know anyone else, or like maybe I've met like one other person who can say that. I didn't realize it was like an outlier. I've never, I don't know. I just never happened. And I used to floss a lot as a kid. And I would brush like, I don't know, like twice a day. But I wasn't like a super conscientious brusher. So I don't know. But I'm afraid that my flawless dental record might, eventually it's got to run out. So.
My wife is the same way. She's never had a cavity in her life.
Really?
Yeah. And I've had so much dental work over the years that it's ridiculous. Like, and my wife is even like, this is crazy. Like, she's like, you should get a second opinion on this. And like, but I've had so many dentists over the years, and I've always had cavities. There was like a 3-year span. I think this was like during college when I didn't go for a while. And then I went to the dentist's office because like, a couple of my teeth hurt. And so the dentist took x-rays, and he pulled out the chart, and he's like, okay, you have cavities here. It was like, I had 18 cavities that day. I had to make like 3 trips to the dentist to get all of them done.
God.
And it like, you say you've never had a cavity in your life. I've never had it. I've never not had a cavity during a trip to the dentist.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. Are you being serious?
Yes, I'm no joke, man. It's ridiculous. And
sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I never thought that was like a thing.
Yeah, maybe Valakami will win to cover your dental.
There you go.
That'd be nice. That'd be 110 to 1 shot. That'd be awesome. Yeah, that would exactly cover it.
It was meant to be.
Well, he's got to win first. We'll see. I feel like I have to hedge there. But like if you're listening, you might be, if you're listening, you might be thinking like, well, like, do you not brush your teeth? Do you not floss? I brush my teeth twice a day, like you said. In fact, I have special medicated toothpaste that my dentist prescribed to me about like 12 years ago. So I've been using that twice a day. I floss every day, sometimes twice a day. I use Act mouthwash a few times a day. I even use this gum with xylitol that my dentist prescribed for me, which supposedly helps prevent teeth decay. And none of that works. Nothing works. I just don't know about this. It's ridiculous.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I just didn't just like the cadence and delivery how you said it. Yeah, that's right. I only eat bread over here, Brandon. That's right. Maybe I don't know what it could be though. Like I wouldn't say like, I mean, I just feel like to have a perfect dental record, you have to be like, you ever see those people, they like carry their toothbrush to work.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Like just do when you get home. No, I don't.
I see it at the gym all the time too. People brush their teeth at the gym all the time. Like, what are you doing? Just seriously.
just wait till you get home like a normal person.
I know.
No, just kidding. No shade thrown at unless you're an anti-dentite. But yeah. So I don't know. It's like I'm scared to go back now. But I don't know. I think everything's fine. Like, didn't you say like you could feel like you kind of know something's up when you have a cavity usually, or no?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, sometimes it'll hurt. Sometimes there'll be like sensitivity to hot, cold. Sometimes I won't even know. Like they'll take my X-ray. I feel like I'm probably going to get cancer with all these X-rays that they've taken over the years. They'll take X-rays and they'll be like, "Oh, you have tooth decay here." They'll show me the chart. They'll show me the pictures. I'm like, really? Like it's just like a shadow, but like. Apparently it is tooth decay or just this. My wife thinks it's this grand scheme that my dentist is running on me to set her up for life. And like, she's actually retiring. So like, I'm sure she's going to be able to afford lots of vacations based on how much money I've given her over the years. But like I said, it's like every dentist I've ever had said the same thing. So like, it's either this like grand conspiracy against me or like, I just have bad teeth. And I think it's
your dentist is like. Your dentist is like, oh, Walter, he's putting my kids through college.
Yeah. No. Seriously, like there's a new dentist who took over her practice, and so I came in when like half my tooth fell out, and I sat down. He comes in. We introduced, and he's like, yeah, Dr. Schaefer told me about you. Like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, I've seen your file.
Yes, yeah, it's like huge file. Like it take up like half the storage space there.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry to hear that. I've never, when I was a kid, last thing on the dentist bit, when I was a kid, my dentist, they would do like a good bit of like the cleaning. The hygienist would do the cleaning, but every single time my dentist, he would come in, he would walk in, like look at my mouth for like not even 2 minutes, and he wouldn't do it. And he would just be like, all right, looks great. He's like, you got great teeth. And I remember thinking as a kid, I was like, whoa, like I want to be a dentist when I grow up. I was like, don't they make like a lot of money? I was like, all he does is just like look at teeth and be like, good job. Right. I was like, I should do that. And then I remember my mom, I was like, I don't know, 9. But like, then I remember the way my mom told me, she's like, what about the people that have bad teeth? And I was like, oh yeah. So my dreams were dashed instantly. Yeah. That was the end of the dentite dream for me.
You know what? We'll get off the dentist thing in a second, but like my theory about alien abductions is like whenever you hear about an alien abduction, you hear like I was strapped to this chair, there's this bright light above me, they're using these tools. I think people are having nightmares about going to the dentist. Like I feel like that's what these alien abductions are.
That's pretty good. Wait, was that original too? I've never heard that.
Yeah, no, that's my theory. I came up with it. I'm proud of it.
Oh, it's a Walt original. Nice. Yeah. No, that is like, to me, I've never dreaded the dentist. Like I never dreaded it because it was just like, yep, okay. Like I'm just going to get my teeth. It's like taking your car in for a wash. Like just going to get it cleaned. And then he's like, oh, you're good. So yeah. But then, when I thought about the bad teeth, my dental dreams were dashed, like I said, but
yeah. I guess if I had perfect teeth, I wouldn't care about going to the dentist. But I've been scarred all these years. Like the only time I look forward to it was when I had that hot dentist that like I look forward to talking to. So that was at least nice. But now her fillings are starting to fail. So I feel like there are more. Sue says you must drink bottled water from East Palestine, Ohio. So if this is it. It's right here from East Palestine. It's an unnerving feeling, says John. Another play on words there. Sue says, my dentist had a new parking lot put in. On my next visit, he said I needed a crown replaced. Coincidence. I'm telling you, man, we're the subjects of this grand conspiracy, you and I. So.
Yeah. Let me let my dogs in real quick. Go ahead, read the.
Okay. John says, what's your opinion on dentist being the title of doctor? Would it piss you off as a brain surgeon? I mean, I know like dentists, they go through the whole rigmarole, like the medical school, and whatnot. Like, I feel like they put in a lot of work and a lot of studying. I think that if I were a brain surgeon, I'd be more pissed off at people with like PhDs and like, I don't even know, like being called doctors. Like you can get like a PhD in almost anything, like be called a doctor. Like that would piss me off more. I think dentists have way more in common than like brain surgeons.
Yeah, but like a brain surgeon is going to have a lot of letters after the name, right? They'll be like, oh, like right. PhD or like MD is medical doctor, or probably a bunch of acronyms that are exclusive to the brain surgery industry and health industry. But like I feel like the magic lies there in the letters after, but. Yeah, it's like universal doctor.
Yeah, that's true. Mike says I tell all kids to be either a dentist or a plumber, and John says long snapper or no, long snapper or punter. Like those are the two that you could be, and they're going to make more money, or at least in the short term. I don't know. I guess if you're a punter, you could punt till you're like 40 in your early 40s. So
yeah. Jeff Eagles, remember he won a Super Bowl with the Giants and against the Patriots, and he was, I think, like 40, at least 40, maybe 42.
Yep. Yeah, Jeff Philadelphia Eagles. I remember him.
Yeah, because he used to punt for the Eagles.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So we have a couple things to discuss here before. I'm very eager to hear about your Game of Thrones experience. I actually watched the first 2 episodes as well because I knew you were going to. So I just wanted to have it like fresh in my mind, like not try to be like, oh, I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah,
For sure. So yeah, I rewatched the first 2 episodes. Man, it is amazing how much better season 1 was compared to season 8. But we'll get to that in a second. I wanted to discuss betting futures with you because you gave me what sounds like a great betting future. I mean, we'll see what happens, but like you've been on fire in the NHL, and I think some people on here might know that. And obviously, my sportsbook manager knows that because I've been betting all your hockey plays that you've given me. I think you're like 7-0 in the past 3 days, and you're like 12-1 or something, or 12-2 in the past week. Like you are on fire.
And we're at the way one weekend, but they've been good, yeah.
Yeah, and you gave me a hockey feature that you really like to win the I must have said to win the Super Bowl, to win the Stanley Cup. What is it? Would you like to share it with everyone?
I really like, everyone, the Toronto Maple Leafs have been the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL for a long time. Way back in the day, they were a really great and formidable team, but they always seem to choke in the playoffs, like second round sort of thing. Like I said, they're the Cowboys of the NHL, but this team is real. Like Austin Matthews is having an absolute killer year. He's has some really strong pieces around him. They're pretty good at goalie. I think they're relatively deep at goalie. And I've just watched I think they've won 5 in a row now against like some of the big boppers in the league. Like I think they beat the Avalanche. They beat the Avalanche again tonight. I watched a couple of their games. It's like a damn shooting gallery out there. I can't believe it. It's just like like that they're going to score. It's been unbelievable. They do need to they need to shore up their defense. A little bit. I think that will be the X factor for them to really get there. But I think to take them to win the division too, because they played two less games. I think they're 8 points behind the Panthers, who are in first, but they've also played 2 less games. The Maple Leafs have. So, as well as they played, I think they could easily catch them. And I think I saw that at 8-1 for them to win the division. That could easily happen. Toronto looks really good. It's kind of like I remember like the Bulls, like the 90s era's Bulls, when I just remember watching that as a kid. It's like I know they're not gonna lose. There's no way like Michael Jordan's gonna lose like in that era. And it's just like, sometimes you see a team like that, and obviously anything could happen, but it's just like every time I watch them, they're just doing whatever they want out there. And Matthews is having a phenomenal year. I saw it 14-1 a couple days ago. Looks like it's 13-1 now. I still think that's tremendous value. So yeah, I really like the Maple Leafs. Some people are going to criticize because of the Cowboys analogy, but I think this could be their year for sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing. Where'd you see 13-1?
Oh, right in front on the.
I thought you maybe had a different sportsbook, but because I know you have Hard Rock in Florida,
right.
So I don't know if they had anything like that, but yeah, FanDuel, as you can see on the screen, is 13-1. Caesars is 13-1 as well. I'm trying to log into BetMGM, but they're asking for my 6-digit code, and I'm not gonna look at my phone as I do that right now. Which is I don't know why. Like, I understand, like they always like it's every 2 days, like they ask for that, and I get like 2-step verification, but like at some point it's so annoying. But yeah, I'm trying to check other sites. So yeah, on DraftKings it's 13-1 as well. So it looks like a consensus 13-1. Bookmaker does not have odds on that right now. They usually don't have odds as like games are going on, or I don't know if games are going on right now. Yeah, I guess games are going on right now.
So a couple late games so maybe in a couple hours they'll be back.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have something in the morning. So yeah, so that's awesome. Are there any other teams you're looking at, like maybe some long shots people can take a stab at?
I don't know that I have a long shot necessarily, but there are 3 teams out in the West that I would consider looking. I don't know the numbers offhand. There's like a few teams that like maybe they probably have decent odds to bet them to make the playoffs. Can you? Is it?
I'm not seeing playoffs, but you could bet them to win the division. Maybe is that something you want?
Yeah. So if your book has it, a team to make the playoffs, I think the Flames could sneak in there. The Kraken, the Seattle Kraken and the Nashville Predators. I've watched some of their games recently. They could sneak. I think one of those teams will probably sneak in. So depending on what the odds look like, they look like a team that is playing well. They're not currently in a playoff spot, any of them, but they're only like 3-4 points out, sort of thing. I've seen them play. All the three of those teams play pretty solid, so it might be worth a shot if you get a good number.
You said Flames, Predators, and who else?
The Kraken.
The Kraken. I mean, these are all 120 to 110 to 150 to 1. Would you, like you said, to make the playoffs? I'm not seeing anything for the division right now because the games are going on. Would you bet them to win the win the Stanley Cup?
I mean, that's the thing. Yes, and the short answer is yes. Not because I necessarily think they're going to do it, but if they get in, you have a shot. Like that's as I've said before, like with hockey, we've seen 8 seeds, sweep their way in. We saw the Kings win the Stanley Cup back in 2011, 2012 as an 8 seed, making it look easy. So anything can happen in hockey. That's not like, it's not the same in basketball, or unless it's a strike shortened season or an injury, like pretty much like the 8 seeds not going to make it to the finals. Probably not even going to get out of the first round most of the time. But with hockey, like if the goalie gets hot at the right time, it's really it's the one sport where any team in the playoffs could essentially take it. So yeah, I mean, if you think they're going to make the playoffs, maybe throw them in there too. If they get hot. I mean, the Predators made when they lost the Stanley Cup final to the Penguins. I believe they were the 8 seed that year in the 15-16 season. So yeah, it can definitely happen. So if you like them to make the playoffs, maybe you can throw down on looking at some big numbers there, and just hedge each round if they get in. So I think it would be worth a shot too.
Yeah, I like that strategy. We talked about it in the NFL, but I feel like the NHL is like way more wide open. Like you compared to the NBA, like NBA is like you only have like 6 or 7 teams that could really win it in the NBA. And NFL, if any team that gets in can win it, I guess, but it's still so hard to beat like Patrick Mahomes, But in the NHL, like you said, if you have a hot goalie, you can get there. Off the top of your head, do you know if like the Flames, Predators, and Kraken of the 3, like who has the best goalie? I really have no idea. I can't name any player on their team. But
yeah, I just watched he hit Saros, the Nashville goalie. He had a really fantastic. I watched the game against the Kings. They won 4-1. Man, he was standing on his head out there. He looked really good. I don't know how his season's been going. Other than that, I just happen to get that little snapshot. But the Predators, they have a shot. They have some really big names on the team. I mean, Roman Josi and Phil Forsberg are obviously the big boppers there with the Predators. But if Saros can continue to play like I saw him the other day, I think they could maybe beat a lot of teams. So that's just to kind of reiterate it, that the goaltender is really the X factor more than in any sport.
Okay. Yeah.
The Oilers.
What'd you say? The Oilers. Yeah, Brandon's asking how about the Oilers. Yeah.
Yeah, I love I love McDavid and I love Leon Draisaitl. I think they have a really solid team. I think they probably need a little shoring up with a goaltender, but they definitely could. I just feel like they're going to be the new Maple Leafs. Like they're going to kind of be there, but never really get make it that far. You remember like the Capitals never made it past the second round until they won the cup. Mm-hmm. So. I love the Oilers. I love McDavid and Draisaitl especially, but yeah, I don't know. It depends what the number is. Maybe like they certainly have a shot, but I wouldn't take it myself. But I wouldn't fault you for doing so, though.
Yeah, I mean it's 8-1. Like I said, I don't know much about hockey. I've heard of the guys you mentioned because I played DraftKings NHL before, but just like a kind of like an outsider looking in. You give me like any 8-1 team, even like if a team's like far and away the best team in the NHL, like that's going to look unappealing to me just because of how wide open hockey is. This is a sport where one seeds are upset all the time. So I would need a better number in 8-1, no matter who it is,
Yeah, agreed. And I didn't even see it was right in front of me that it's 8-1. I don't like that number at all. I think, what do I know, right? But I thought it would be closer to like what the Maple Leafs are. 8-1. I mean, if you take it and it hits, it's a nice payday. But I think that should be more like 12 or 13. But what do I know?
Yeah.
So that's I would stay away from that. Not enough value, I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way. John says Matt Ariza signed by the Chiefs just to rub salt in the wounds of Bills fans. Yeah, I don't. Again, like I don't know why he was a free agent for so long. I feel like people care too much about what other people think. But yeah, John says it's illegal for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup.
I know, right? It's been since the 91 Montreal Canadiens. I think Patrick Wall was on that team.
Has it really been that long? Wow.
90. Yeah, it's been a long, almost my entire lifetime. I was born in '86.
That's crazy. That's insane. Yeah, streaky team though.
Yeah, they are, Brandon.
93 Canadians. 93 Canadians beat. They played the Kings. They played the Kings in the finals, didn't they?
Yeah, Gretzky was on the Kings.
Yeah. Who won that? I forgot. I guess it was Canadians, right? Because John.
Yeah. That was one. Patrick Wall was still on their team when he was. Patrick Wall is my favorite goaltender of all time. Yeah, 90. What did I say? 91.
Oh, you said 91. Okay, yeah, it was 93. Yeah, okay. That's who you're thinking of. But I remember that. I remember that final because my dad and I got into like a slight argument where like Canadians and Kings. I was rooting for. I think I was rooting for the Canadians because they were in the Eastern Conference, and like I was like, hey, if the Flyers they played them more, you know. And then my dad was like, well, you have to root for the Kings because they're an American team. And I'm like, well, I don't like LA. And he's like, touche. So I
love the reasoning.
Yeah.
You don't like LA and their games. That's funny. That's good.
Yeah, who likes LA? LA sucks. Sue says, I know goalie is important, but which team has the best dentist?
Yeah, they would need a good dentist. Send them Walt's old dentist. They love that.
Yeah, they could hire my my hot dentist from my 20s. Yeah, and then they'll have the best one. So we can maybe jump to the NBA. Do you have anything in the NBA? I want to look at this real quickly because I didn't really look at it into this, but you know, I've been betting NBA a lot, so I think that off the top, just like first reaction here. Now, obviously, like you said, like taking longer shots in the NBA doesn't pan out as much. Like you have like Celtics plus 230, Nuggets plus 440, Clippers plus 500, Bucks plus 650. All four of those teams have worse odds than the top team in the NHL, which just says a lot. But you know, if I'm looking at it, if I'm looking to bet this, I don't want to bet one of those teams, especially the Bucks who are coached by Doc Rivers. You know, he sucks. I like, and the Clippers, like their two of the top three guys are Harden and Paul George. Like they always choke. So I feel like if you're going to take one of the top teams, like I would say Celtics and Nuggets. But again, like those numbers suck. So I'd rather take a team with better odds here, like a Phoenix, a 14-1. Like they have a really good team. I don't know about the Knicks. Like it always feels like the Knicks do well in the regular season, just choke in the playoffs. Timberwolves 23-1. They have a really good team. I don't know if they have the experience, but I think they can definitely get there. And then the Cavaliers 25-1. They're really good. Yeah, they're really good on defense. So between the Knicks and the Cavs, I'd rather take the Cavs at 20. Like even if they're the same odds, I'd rather take the Cavs. And then the Thunder 25-1. They're really talented too. Outside of that, I don't know. Like Miami got there last year 42-1, but like I don't know if they can do it again. Dallas, they have Doncic like 36-1. They could always do it, but like they just don't have the depth. And then I'm just not really seeing anyone else. Like if you're looking at this, what are you thinking here?
I don't know. I will always, I won't do it myself, but I will always support if you wanted to put, something down on the Lakers 50-1, because just, I mean, if your only leg to stand on is the prop up the LeBron legacy further, like I think that there's merit to that for sure. And at that number is probably, I mean, what didn't they make it to the Western Conference Finals last year? I think they made it, maybe a second round, but they made it a lot farther than people thought. So, if it's just for that narrative alone, I support that. Take the Magic, man. They're going to make the playoffs. What are they, 240-1? I mean, you can hedge each way. You can put a nice hedge down there. You can definitely turn a profit on that. Unless there's some sort of catastrophic injury, the Magic are going to make the playoffs. So I'm a lifelong Orlando Magic fan, so I'm biased. So I should tell you all that too. So take this for what you will. But this is the first time I've seen like there's a lot of chemistry in the Magic team, and I've suffered through some really horrible Orlando Magic seasons in my heyday, But at that number, I think they're going to get in. You could turn at what is it, 240 to 1, hedge each round. I mean, because I think they're a team that could like maybe catch lightning in a bottle and get to the second round maybe, but in a couple of years tell you what, they're going to be good. And some big name, like Kevin Durant was saying, like the Magic are going to be really good if they keep that core together. A lot of players around the league, so that's something to keep in your back pocket too if you're looking for a hedge opportunity. So.
Yeah, 240 to 1's pretty up there, considering that they're the 6th seed. Like they're currently not even in the playing game. And I feel like they're going to be the 5th seed soon because the Sixers are kind of like in a tailspin ever since they lost Joel Embiid. So I feel like they're going to pass the Sixers and like they should be clear of playing in the play-on game. So yeah, I mean, like a team that's a 5 seed at 241, like what if, obviously they're not nearly as good as Boston, but like what if Tatum gets hurt and they play Boston in the second round? Like suddenly they beat them and then in the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe they're playing against the Bucks. And we know how poorly the Bucks are coached, or anyone who's familiar with Doc Rivers knows that. And so like maybe they pull the upset there and get to the finals. So I like that. I kind of like that. 241 is an insane number for a team that is going to be in the playoffs. And Orlando plays good defense. They have good players. They're just young. They just don't have the experience. But if they hit their shots and they get some injury luck going the other way, I think that could happen.
I will also add to that the Magic, they're not like a 5 or 6 seed that every time they play the 1 or 2 seed they get slaughtered. They've beaten Boston. They've beaten Cleveland. They've beaten the Bucks. So like can they do it in the whole series? Probably less likely than I mean, it could happen, but it's not like they're going to be like absolutely slaughtered and don't have a chance. I think they beat the Celtics twice. I know they've beaten all those teams this year already. So it's not like they have they can beat the mediocre teams and that's it. So they've beaten a lot of good teams this year. So take that for what it's worth. At that number, you could easily, even if they advance, you'll still be in good shape. If you hedge the first round and they called lightning in a bottle, like I said, and then advance, you can still put another hedge. You've got plenty of wiggle room with that number. So yeah, and I think the Magic are going to be really good in the next few years. Okay. I think Banchero is really going to be a star.
You said Banchero?
Banchero, yeah. He's and Wagner. They have so many solid pieces. So if they can keep it together, I mean, lifelong fan bias aside, they look good to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. You mentioned the Lakers. They're currently like out of the playoffs right now, but you got to think that LeBron and Davis will get in there. Even if it's via play-in game. And you're right. Like last year, they went to the Western Conference Finals. They beat the Warriors in the second round, but then they got swept by Denver. But like that series was so misleading. Like it was not a 4-0 series, even though that's what happened. Like all those games are so close, and it felt like in the fourth quarter. Well, I think like one got out of hand. Like the other 3 games, like they really could have gone either way. And so like I feel like if they play that series like 20 times or even 100 times, I think maybe like 30-40% of the time that series goes 6 or 7. Like now, I'm not saying that they lose, that the Lakers upset Denver. I think that happens like a very small percentage of the time. But I think that like those teams were just way more competitive with each other than that 4-0 indicates. So yeah, Lakers at 50 to 1. I mean, you're buying low on them because they're currently the 9 seed.
Right. Hey, I got one for you. I had someone who a friend of mine who doesn't really follow sports. I mean, maybe casually. But he asked me, and I've heard this question before, and I want to, I'll let you know what I think. I'm interested to know what you think. You know how people say, like, remember when the Lions or the Browns went winless, and people were like, "Oh, Alabama could beat them in a game." And someone asked me, like, how many times if Alabama played like the worst Cleveland Browns team 10 times, how many times do you think Alabama would win? And I was like, 0. Mm-hmm. And he was like, at least it was funny. He was aware. He's like, pardon my ignorance, but it's just like. Even like, here's my theory. It's even though Alabama has like they're a perennial powerhouse, and they have some like star players. Like not every player that they have on the field is capable. Like they're not going to go to the NFL. they might have more than any other school, but it's just a completely different speed, and like a lot of the they're students and they're young kids. They're not going to be able to keep up with the grown men of the NFL, if you will. It'd be a completely different speed. But I think it's funny that, I mean, unless you want to rebuke me, how do you feel about that?
Well, as John asked, what if Adam Gase was the Browns coach? Then then maybe 10 out of 10 Alabama wins. No, I agree. It really depends on the attitude of the NFL team. If they all go out drinking heavily the night before and they all show up hungover and they don't stretch at all, like they're like, oh, we're gonna beat this team, let's just goof around, then they could lose. But if they try even like at 75 or 70% effort, then it'll be a blowout. It's not going to be close because the worst guys on NFL teams were like the best players in college. They just weren't good enough to compete with the other players in the NFL. So it would just not happen. Like 10 times, 100 times. As long as the NFL team is trying hard, they're going to win every single time.
Right. And actually, let me say this real quick. You were saying if the NFL team wasn't trying hard, I think from a psychological perspective, they would be trying hard, because we're talking about a team that went the 0-16 Lions. They're all probably already embarrassed, and now we got it. They put together this game where we're going to play a college team. They're good. They don't want to lose that game. They're already embarrassed. They want to send a message. I feel so. I would say that I think they could be. There's a chance they could be more motivated for it. So yeah, I think the college teams wouldn't have a chance. So
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a good point. I'm thinking I was more thinking you said.
Right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Well, you said out of 10 times. So if these teams actually played against each other 10 times in a row, maybe by iteration 7, the NFL team would be we beat these teams 6 times already. They're all blowouts. Let's go out drinking the night before and not try.
Right.
I feel like they could get upset once, and then the next game it would be a complete slaughter. I feel like it would be like that. Good.
I dealt with that. I graduated from UCF, and my last year there, I graduated from there in 2018. And the 17-18 season, that was the year that UCF was saying they were the national champions. Remember that? Because they went undefeated.
Yep.
But Alabama beat Georgia, and Tua was in for Alabama. He came in for Hurts in that game. That was that national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But now I completely just lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
I don't know where you're going with that, because you mentioned that you went to UCF. So
yeah, sorry. This is with a body like this, you don't get the brains with it. So sometimes it's you've known me for so long, Walt. I do this on my streams too. It's I remember the most intricate details of anything. It's halfway through the sentence, I'm like, what the hell was I just talking about? But anyhow, but people would say at UCF, and don't get me wrong, I had a great experience at UCF, and I love it. But when in the aftermath, the subsequent, if you will, season, because UCF went undefeated again that year, but they lost their bowl game to LSU and Joe Burrow. But people were they had signs and stuff. It's we want Bama. Mm-hmm. It's no, you don't.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, and I'm not trying to sound I don't want to sound like a homer either. It's just I think if they played 100 times, I think Alabama wins 95 times. Yep. I think they could definitely win a handful or so. But I always thought that was kind of delusional. It's no, you don't that. Why? So we can get waxed. I wouldn't. I always thought that was kind of strange that they were that UCF was so almost hell bent about we're the national champions. I was yeah, I mean, I get it, but also not really. So, but what do I know?
I get it, but and I think you're right. It is a high percentage that that Alabama wins that hypothetical game, but it is within the realm of possibility that Central Florida could upset Alabama. This is not NFL versus college. These are all kids from 18 to 22. So and it's not even Division 1A versus Division 3. They're both Division 1A. So they could hypothetically play against each other like from time to time. And we've seen crazy upsets before. We've seen Appalachian State beat Michigan before.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Dude, we've known each other for 2 decades. We just said Appalachian State at the same time. Right. I was just going to bring that up, obviously.
Right. Like you see stuff like that happen, not all the time, but occasionally. And so, it could happen. Like there's a chance that, again, like Alabama, they just beat Georgia, and they're like, oh, we have to play Central Florida. Who's this team? And we don't get their best effort, and maybe Central Florida gets some lucky bounces and wins the game. Like it could certainly happen. Like, are they better than Alabama? No, but they could beat them in a 1-game playoff.
Right.
And if it was like NBA and it was best of 7, no chance. But a one-off, it could happen for sure.
Yeah, and I share your sentiment on that front of it. Like, I guess it was just like the aura of like we can hang with them. Like we're in their. It's like they're not in their league. They're in different. I mean, both literally and figuratively. Mm-hmm. They can't hang with them on most days, and that's just the long and the short of it. So I'm not trying to be a downer. I just I don't want to be a homer. So I was always intrigued by like that storyline that was going on there.
Well, yeah, we had a question here from John. The more interesting question is if you took the best college players at every position and had them play the worst NFL team, like, and we're talking even depth players. So like if an offensive lineman goes down, now you're getting the 3rd best tackle in college football, not just the team's backup, So yeah, I do think the college All-Star team would beat the NFL. I think it'd be very close though, and it could really flip a coin. But like a collection of all-stars, and I think you have to have the caveat of saying like this team would practice together for at least like a couple months together. So like there would be some chemistry and whatnot, because like if you don't have any chemistry, then it's not gonna work. But if they could practice together a lot, then I do think they would take down the worst NFL team.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, because it would really be it's a complete hypothetical. I mean, I have a hard time seeing the college all-stars get together for 3-6 months just for 1 game, So yeah, but I mean, maybe they could. That's a good question, John. That's a good one. I'll have to think about that.
I mean, it's close though, because like the worst team in the NFL this year was the Panthers, right? And they had Bryce Young, who was great in Alabama. So like he was just terrible in the NFL. However, you'd have Caleb Williams. And you could say like they're both even. I guess like Caleb Williams, I think is going to be better in the NFL, but in college, you can say they're about even. If you look at like the receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr., how does he compare to an aging Adam Thielen? I think Harrison Jr. is better at this, at this stage of his football career, because Thielen, he had some great games last year, but I think he has trouble getting open for the most part. So yeah, I think if you take like. And I guess it really depends on what year it is too, because like a year ago you would have had Bijan Robinson versus the Panthers running back who was Chuba Hubbard, and like Bijan obviously better than Chuba Hubbard. So yeah, I think that I think that the best college players would beat the Panthers. But yeah, like I said, they'd have to play like with each other and practice with each other.
Right. Yeah, it would definitely. I mean. If the regular Alabama team would win 0 times, I would say that the college players could probably win 2 or 3 times. I'd say. Do you think it'd be out of 10?
I think it'd be 50-50, to be honest.
Really?
If they practice with each other and stuff like that, yeah. Because I just give that example with like the Panthers. I feel like these teams would kind of be on equal footing almost.
Yeah, that would be cool to see. It would probably never happen, but.
Oh yeah, it used to happen all the time.
They should do that instead of the Pro Bowl. Do that instead of the Pro Bowl. I'm telling people would come, people would show up and show out for that. And we heard it here first on Walter Football. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, they should, but like is the worst team going to agree to that? Like, why would they agree to that? I don't know. I mean, if you pay them enough,
I think that's a good idea. Crickets from Walt. I was like, oh, maybe not. People would definitely show up to that, though. People definitely show up.
Oh, I definitely think so. It would be better than the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl is terrible. Slew says NFL champions went 31-7-2 versus college all-stars, 34-76 in the great college all-star game in Chicago.
Wow. So they have done at least some semblance of it.
Oh yeah, I just think that like the college all-stars here were hurt by the fact that they couldn't practice with each other. You know, that was my caveat. Is like if you gave these guys 2 months to gel together, then I think that would be 50-50. But like, of course, if you take like a group of guys who just don't know how to play with each other, they're going to struggle. I think that's definitely the case. But like, you know, back in the day, and I'm talking about like really early football, like the birth of football, like you'd have. I feel like you'd have like teams like Harvard and Rutgers beating NFL teams all the time. But that was when, you know, football wasn't really a profession, really. Like they even had tryouts. The first time, like I remember when I can't remember if it was the Packers or the Bears, when they were creating their football team, they had an ad in the paper and it said something like, come play football. You can beat up other men and not go to prison. It's like that was their pitch to get people to try out for their team. Like that would never happen.
They probably lined up around the block, huh?
Oh yeah, of course.
They're violent, huh?
Of course, and you will never see that these days. You know.
Well, isn't that interesting about like hockey? You know, like when there's a fight, it's like the refs like they let them go at it for a little bit, and it's like, okay, go in timeout for 5 minutes.
Right.
It's like you're just like straight up assaulting another man.
I know if that happened in the street, you go to prison. Like, you know.
Yeah. And it's like, right outside the arena, you go to prison. Here, you just sit in that box you get a 5-minute major for fighting.
It's amazing.
It is such an interesting like thing. I mean, I guess in all sport, I mean, say the same thing about like boxing, but it's agreed upon, you know.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could argue with hockey, it's agreed upon. It's not as common, but I guess it's part of the contract, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how that works out. Brandon says, I forget the Magic saying this year, but it's catchy for how well they're doing. Do you know what it is?
I probably should. I don't know. I just hear the song Orlando Magic. Orlando, like all the Magic things that I follow, every time they win, they'll play that song. They'll post that song. It's catchy, man. So I've been hearing it a lot this year, more than since they went to the finals or the year after. That was a good era of Magic. Like prime Dwight Howard, Hedo Turkoglu, Rashard Lewis, Jameer Nelson, Petrus. That team was so good that they should have won. That they lost in 5 games, but that Courtney Lee missed layup that would have won the game in game 2. And then Dwight Howard, like I know he's bad at free throws, but in game, like just make 1 out of 2 and the game is over, man. And the game is over. And they blew it.
Yeah, I remember that.
John Sanders,
John Sanders, thank you so much for the 9/11 super chat. Really appreciate it. Like I said, YouTube ads pay nothing, so this is great. Thank you so much, John. He says, your thoughts on the Bengals franchising T. Higgins? Is it a tag and trade play like Peerless Price and Devontae Adams? Yeah, that's interesting. We were talking about on Thursday, I believe I did offensive player of the year bets that I was looking at doing, and we came up with the consensus that Breece Hall 35-1 was the best one. But I said of all the favorites, I thought Jamar Chase at 12-1 looked great as long as the Bengals didn't let or as long as the Bengals let T. Higgins go in free agency. But then the Bengals franchised T. Higgins, which I guess makes a lot of sense. Obviously, I mean he's such a great player. He'd be a number 1 receiver on a lot of teams, and so I think that if the Bengals if they want to re-sign him to a long-term deal, I think that would be great because they're notorious for not spending money. So maybe the owner is kind of like, maybe he's enthusiastic about how well this team has done in recent years and the potential they have with Joe Burrow. But it could be a tag and trade. Like I said, the owner has been cheap for a long time. You can't count on him. And I think there's a chance. Like I don't know what the Bengals are doing. If I had to guess, I don't think it's going to be tag and trade. I think that, like I said, they have something special going within Cincinnati. Like Joe Burrow, when he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They have a great defensive coordinator. They have a lot of good players on defense. Jamar Chase is amazing. Offensive line needs work, but this is a great draft for offensive linemen. So like they could really help themselves there this year. If they keep Higgins and improve their offensive line, I think the Bengals have to be considered one of the Super Bowl favorites. And I'm hoping that that the owner sees that. So my instinct says that they're going to keep Higgins at least for this year, and but I wouldn't count out tag and trade just because the owner's been so cheap in the past.
Mm-hmm. It's like the Packers did that; they would never sign anybody. Well, I guess that's a little different, but anyhow.
Yeah. The only team without an owner, can't really blame them for that. But no, the Bengals have a cheap owner, which is probably worse than no owner, right? So, I hope that answers your question, John. I think I like the move to franchise him, and I think they're going to bring him back, but you never know with Cincinnati. You just can't trust them. If it was a team that loves to spend money like the Saints or something, they'd definitely keep him. So Brandon says Denver had a very complete team last year. They really did. The Nuggets, yeah. They were phenomenal, and yeah, they swept the Lakers when I thought that series would go 6 or 7, and it really could have, like I said before, but Denver is just so great.
When I read that, I thought he meant the Broncos. I was like, wait, I thought he was being sarcastic. And then like I heard you're like, oh yeah, definitely. I was like, wait, what? It's like that's not the Broncos season is not something I would call complete. No. To hear you like, oh, definitely. It's like, wait, what happened to Walt here?
Yeah. Losing to the Raiders and then the Redskins in weeks 1 and 2. Yeah, not a sign that you're a complete team. No, the Nuggets were amazing.
Yeah.
Sue says sounds like if the Bengals sounds like the Bengals did a super chat, it would be for $1.19. So the 911, yeah. If the Bengals would never do super chat. Like, who are we kidding here? Like,
they never. Yeah, they're super. The Bengals are super chat stingy. I heard they're super chat stingy status.
Yeah,
so,
it would be like 19 cents or something. I used to have. I used to have this
a couple of times.
I used to have this boss. I used to work at a swim club. This guy's like the cheapest person in the world, and he was like notorious for that. It wasn't just me thinking that. This is like everyone was saying it. And I remember like negotiating with him for a raise. And like I was making this is back when I was like 18. I was making like $8 an hour, and I was like, I don't want to use the names. Like, sir, can I please get a raise? He goes, I'll think about it. And so I had another meeting with him. He's like, I really don't want to give a raise this year, but you do such a great job. He's like, well, how about instead of 8, you get $8.10 an hour? I'm like, come on,
what?
10-cent raise, really? Like, and you had to really think about it. Like, of course I accept it. It's my only job. I was like, what else am I gonna do here? So like, you had me by the balls, I guess.
Oh my God, that's like insulting. 10-cent raise. Jeez. Well, there was this guy that I went to Penn State with. He had like a job. It was like, I won't say who it is, but it was like a big attorney in the area. Someone who has a lot of money. And my buddy was like a piano mover, like one summer, like grand piano, like obviously like those things are heavy. And he like helped move this piano up like so many floors for like this really famous, like not famous, well, like locally famous, I guess, attorney. And after like they were done moving it, he reached in his wallet and he gave him a $1 bill. It's like, dude, it's like, just don't give me anything then. I mean, like, I guess, I don't know. Like, do you feel like a job like that is like, you tip for that? It's such a unique thing.
I tip for everything. And like any furniture mover who comes in the house, like I'll tip them like $20 usually.
Yeah, that's mighty considerate of you.
Well, here's the question: would you rather get $1, or I'm thinking like of cheap tippers or like nonsense tippers from Home Alone 2 when Macaulay Culkin gives the guy a stick of gum for bringing up his bag at the hotel. Would you rather have the $1 or the stick of gum?
Well, there was this guy. I told you about this particular individual that used to order from the Domino's Pizza I used to work at. Mm-hmm. And he lived right behind the store, but he would hardly ever tip. If he did, it was $1. But like one time he tipped me in like a gallon jug of Arizona iced tea. Like it was sealed, it was unopened. He had them like laying around, like he had like cases of them. Like he went to like BJ's or something, got like a bunch of like cases of Arizona iced tea. And he's like, well, I don't have any extra money, but if you want, I'll give you one of these teas. I was like, I mean, it was sealed. It's like, I guess, like, what am I going to do? Like, I guess it's better than nothing. I don't know if I drank it, though. But yeah, we had another woman there that she wouldn't tip, but she would give you like these drawings of like it was always drawings of women. It wasn't pornographic in nature or anything like that, but like it was really good. But she would just like stare at you and here's the like we used to like have like a whole bunch of them. They're really good drawings too. It was so yeah. I mean, I've gotten all sorts of different. I did pizza delivery forever, so yeah. I'd rather if I had to choose the dollar or nothing, I would rather just get nothing. But actually, no, I'm going to take that back. I'd rather get the dollar because it would be such a memorable story. So,
well, I said a stick of gum is not nothing, Tom. I'd rather. Would you rather get a dollar or a stick of gum?
oh, I forgot about. I guess I'd rather have the stick of gum. I guess a dollar doesn't buy you anything, and it's like at least the stick of gum. You know, like you can maybe freshen my breath at least. You can do something for me right now, or as a dollar, I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't buy you anything, as I said, with the YouTube ads. But Home Alone 2 was back in the 90s, and dollar was worth a lot more back then. And I like one thing I love is like in Home Alone 1, where he goes to the grocery store and buys all those like all that food. Like I've seen like people online figure out what it's worth now. It was like he paid $20 for like all that food in the grocery store, and like someone figured out that like what Kevin McAllister bought at the grocery store would cost like $80 or $90 right now.
Oh my god,
it's crazy.
Yeah, you can't get out of the grocery store without spending $100 anymore.
It's crazy.
One time I was there a couple of weeks ago. I got like it was 2 bags of stuff. It was like $35. Yeah, and I was like, I mean, oh my god. So yeah, let's not harp on that.
Sue says, when I was busboy, my manager came to me and told me I was doing an excellent job, and he was giving me a raise. It felt great. 2 weeks later, I found out that the minimum wage had been raised. Oh man,
that sucks. I'm sorry, man.
Well, maybe I hope it's worth. I hope it's more than 10 cents an hour. That I got.
Well, how much did you get paid at your first? What was your first job, Walt, and how much did you get paid?
Well, so it was under the table. I hope no one from the government is listening. But when I was a teenager, I worked for my dad, because my dad still owns some grocery stores and dollar stores. And so he used to take inventory that he couldn't sell at the stores and sell it at the Tacony-Palmyra Flea Market, which is in New Jersey. And so I used to go to the Tacony-Palmyra Flea Market Saturday and Sunday morning, during the summer, and it was like 6 a.m. I'd have to be there, so it was like 5 a.m. wake up, like during the summer, which is it's pretty brutal. But yeah, it was just selling stuff and basically setting up. Like the hardest part was like unloading everything from the truck and then loading it back in at the end of the day. Like that was probably the worst part. But it was we were there from 6 a.m. to like I want to say like 1 p.m. or maybe sometimes 2 p.m. if there was a lot of people there. And my dad used to give me $50 for the day. So so it was if you want to do the math there, I guess it was 7 hours or so. So if you want to do that simple math, it's about seven or something an hour. Yeah. But that was under the table, so I didn't owe any taxes. So.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah.
I'm live from IRS headquarters, by the way. No, but my first job, I worked at Papa John's Pizza. My friend Mike, his sister got me the job. She worked there. I made $5.75. And I remember my first paycheck. My first paycheck, it was $102, and I was like, whoa! I was like 15 or 16. It's like, whoa, like $102. Now I get my paycheck, I light it on fire. It's
yeah, like, right.
Life's funny, But that was my first starting pay rate, $5.75. Geez, I worked real quick. I worked landscaping once. I did for $10 an hour. The Walgreens in Kennett Square off East State Road. It was me. I used to work landscaping for this guy when I was there at Westchester just to make like some extra money. When I would drive by that Walgreens, I got PTSD, man. It took me and 3 other guys 12 hours to mulch this entire Walgreens plaza. It was I'm glad there's people that want to do landscaping, because that was like one of the worst experiences of my life. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it freaking sucked. Have you ever done mulching?
Not mulching, but I did. The part of my job description for that in the swim club was a lot of some landscaping. Some we used to have to clean the pool, so we had to drain the pool and then paint it, and then scrape out like old tiles that were going to fall out. So I did stuff like that. Dig holes for the guy. Yeah. So I was really hoping for something more substantial than 10 cents an hour raise for doing all that.
Oh, wait, that was the job where you got you're doing that kind of work?
Yes.
Dude, that's insulting.
It's horrible, man. It was awful. I'll say this, like one week, he had me wax the slide. So they had this it wasn't like a Dorney Park type slide, but it was a cool slide, for a swim club. A lot of twists and turns and stuff like that, and then a tiny drop. And so he's like, Walt, why don't you wax the slide this week? I'm like, okay. So I was basically in my own world, because he would forget about me, and he would always leer at people and make sure they were doing the job. But I was up in the slide, and so he'd forget about me. And so I had my CD player back then, and so I just listened to my CDs and then just wax on, wax off the entire day. And it would have been boring if I hadn't had music, but it was actually a relief of just not doing heavy lifting and stuff like that. I actually did a great job. People complimented me during the summer. They're like, "Walt, the slide's the fastest it's ever been." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was waxing it for a whole week."
Walter, fastest slide 99.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound fun either. Oh, the mulching. I'm so grateful that there are people that want to do that job. Never again. I won't. I won't go within 6 feet of a mountain of mulch. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah.
How do we get on this?
Speaking of horrible, John says pizza delivery before the days of GPS are brutal, and I can imagine. You deserve every cent you made. Yeah, that was. John says $5.15 minimum when he started. Before GPS, that must have been brutal.
It wasn't.
Really?
I did it before GPS, and it's we'd have a big map, and I did it so much. It's just we didn't have it to rely on, so we just we adapt to what we have. And I knew the streets, and I used to deliver at Papa John's at Penn State when we were there, and I knew all the neighborhoods, all the roads. Sometimes I might have to look at the map, but I knew all of them. I mean, not from jump, but. Yeah, I was surprised, but now I know I couldn't do it because we're relying on it, so much. It's kind of like the people that can't make change, about that. People kids are dumb, they can't make change, but
right.
They probably grew up with typing it in and it being done for them. So I kind of give that criticism, I give them a mulligan for that. I mean, if that's all you did, you had a computer tell you what to do and you never took the time, you didn't need to. I mean, I can understand that a little bit.
It was, you don't know how many times this is before, really rely on my credit card, but if I went to the store and something was I don't know, $21.23, right? I would take out, I'd have a 20 and a 5, right? So I'd have 25, but I wouldn't want all that change. So I'd see if I had a quarter. And I'd pay $25.25 for something that's $21.23, and so I'd want to get 2 cents back and change, right? In addition to the few bills. And so I'd hand this money to the cashier, and they're like, I said 23, and they're like, they just don't know. I'm like, I just put it in, it'll work, trust me,
It'll work, trust me.
Yeah,
this ain't your first rodeo with minimum coin,
Yeah, right.
Minimum coin exchange.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, that there are some that are, I guess, could be a little trickier. I'm pretty good with numbers though, but I don't know. I do understand too if all you ever knew was to punch it in and it told you you didn't need to learn. I guess that's part of the evolution of technology. I guess. I mean that's the argument I'm trying to make anyway. But it is weird. I knew a girl who was getting a master's degree in math, and she taught calculus. She was really smart at math, but she couldn't make change.
Wow.
She would think okay, if the change was 22 cents, she would think it was 88 cents because she would the 8 and the 2 make 10.
Yeah.
But she was she showed me all the problems. She was super brilliant. Isn't it? I don't know. I'm not picking on her by saying that. She was really a brilliant girl. But it's just isn't it funny how the mind works? You know,
I think Albert Einstein had trouble doing that too. If maybe that story is incorrect, but I think I saw that. And by the way, that saying, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. That was Einstein said that, but he was talking about agriculture. So a lot of people don't know that.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, let's shift gears, and I'm very excited to talk about Game of Thrones here. Pull up this image here. Season 1, episode 1, winter is coming. And then you also watched the second episode. So I'm very eager to hear what you had to say, because like I said, I watched these first 2 episodes and I was just like flabbergasted by how good it was compared to seasons 7 and 8. Like those 2 seasons were just horrendous because the writing just went completely downhill. The characters were ruined. But I would say the first 4 seasons were a masterpiece in my opinion. And then seasons 5 and 6, there was a decline, but there's still really good television as far as I'm concerned. So what first impressions, like what do you want to talk about here? I'll just let you go ahead.
My first question for you is like when you first found out about the show, however many years ago, did you have to rewatch? I had to rewatch the first episode. There's a lot of character. I took notes. I had to take notes because after the second view, they introduced a lot of people, so it was kind of difficult. But I also think I'm just getting dumber every day. That could be part of it too. But was it like? I guess I'm asking, like, was it difficult for you to like get all the characters in order, like in your mind? Because it was tough for me. By the second viewing of the first episode, I kind of typed everything out and I knew like 80% of it. But
I'd say yes. Because so what I did was when it was first released, like when I first started watching it, I should say, season 1 was going live. But like they had already aired like the first 4 or 5 episodes, so I kind of binge watched all 4 the same night. Like I was like, oh, what's this about? Everyone says it's great, and people are saying the books are great too. So I watched the first episode and I was like, wow, I got to keep watching. And so like I only planned to watch the first episode or 2, and I watched like the first 4. And I couldn't wait for the 5th one to come on TV. It used to be Sunday night, yeah, I did have a little trouble because I remember like reading a description of like episode 3 or 4, and I was like, oh no, did that character die? But like it was another character they were talking about. So,
hey, how about Jason Momoa's character? You imagine you're him, you show up, you're like, all right, guys, hey, I'm here. Like, what's my character all about? It's like, well, Jason, like you barely have to talk, and your character has a 1-track mind for getting laid. How's that sound? Like, dude, what am I supposed to make of that situation?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the first. All I heard him say was no.
Right. That's all he says. Like it's like, can you imagine like I can't imagine like him ever going line, like it's
yeah, how many S's in it?
Right, maybe he did it for fun, but like that's I can't, like, it's very easy to remember what he's supposed to say, John says, I made the mistake of reading the books beforehand, not playing spoiler, and some of the episodes is difficult. So what I did was I watched the first season, and then in my mind I was like, oh man, I hate being ruined by books because the books are always better. And so I was like, I want to watch the show, but then I couldn't resist. I actually read the first, all 5 books, I should say, after season 1 and before season 2. So I knew starting in season 2 and beyond, I knew everything. But season 1, I didn't know anything. So I was pretty surprised. A lot of twists and turns coming in season 1 if you're going to keep watching. But yeah, it's I thought it was great. And the books, I thought, I would say like books from start to where it ended compared to show, the same time span of the show, like the books are better. But I think that the show had a lot of stuff that the books don't have. Because how the books work, like each chapter is a character's point of view, but they don't have everyone's point of view, because like people who know stuff, like for example, in the first episode, you learn that John Aaron, who's the Hand of the King, he died, right? Obviously, someone killed him, so you can't have their point of view because they would already know that they killed John, right? And so like as a reader, like you're learning this for the first time, like you have to be in the dark about it. Also, same thing with the show, like they're not going to show like, they're not going to like pan to a character and be like, hey, I killed this guy, you know. So like each chapter in the book, they're only like certain characters who have point of views. Whereas like in the show, they can show a scene between two characters, and one of them may be the person who killed John Aaron, but they won't admit it because there doesn't have to be an inner dialogue or anything. They could just have a conversation between the two characters, and so like you'll get a lot of conversations between characters in the show that you didn't have in the book. So I always thought it was like a good compliment. Like I always thought that like people who really like Game of Thrones should watch the show and read the book, because I thought, at least in the first 4 or 5 or 6, maybe 6 seasons, like they complemented each other really well. Unfortunately, once the showrunners ran out of book material, they kind of made stuff up, and it really went down south. So you can maybe blame George R.R. Martin for not finishing the books. And OMG, Carmen.
How's it going, Carmen? Thanks for joining. We finally got to the Game of Thrones talk here for you. Thanks for coming by.
So she says, will George R.R. Martin ever finish these books? So I hear a lot of people saying that like George R.R. Martin's lazy and that's why he never finished the book. And I think that's completely wrong, because he's worked on other side projects. He's finished other books. So it's not like he's just like laying on a beach somewhere, or like I know he loves the Jets. Like I know like he's not just talking about the New York Jets. Like he's done a lot of work. He's worked on the show. He's working on this new show, the spinoff, House of the Dragon. Like he's working hard. What I think happened was, I think he's stuck. I think that like he knows how he wants it to end. I just don't know. I don't think he knows how to get there with all the characters, because there's so many characters in the book. Like each book has an appendix where like, and like you said, you were taking notes and like trying to figure out which characters are which. If you read the book, you could just flip to the back and see an appendix of all the houses and all the people in those houses and how they're related. And so by book 5, there are so many names in that appendix. And like, I just don't think that George R.R. Martin knows how to get out of this jumble that he's in. And I think that's why it's taken him so long. It's just like he almost has writer's block for a certain part of this book that he can't finish. And it's unfortunate. And I worry that he's not going to finish it. I think he's got a lot of book 6 done. I just don't know if he has everything done. And like, I worry that he's just never going to figure it out.
Well, after all that, I would have thought that you wrote these books. Holy cow, man. You're like a walking encyclopedia. That's awesome. I love it.
Oh man, I'm also a huge fan, man. I ripped through those books so quickly. They're so great. I've rewatched the show many times. I actually haven't rewatched the show since the finale, just because the final 2 seasons were so bad. And I always say to anyone watching the show for the first time, watch the Battle of the Bastards in the next episode, and that's it. Just stop. At the end of season 6, just stop. And you're going to be like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens. But like, no, you don't want to know it. You just really don't. It's almost like
is that what you're going to instruct me to do?
Yes. It's almost like Pandora's box, where like don't open the box, and like, oh, I have to open it. Yeah, it's like, no, just don't do it. Just stop at Battle of the Bastards, and the episode after that is what I told you about, where they have this great orchestra of like musical instruments, and yet like, when each character is closer to their death, they add, like another instrument is added, and so as they transition from other characters back and forth, you'll see musical instruments drop off because like another character is maybe further away from their death, and then they'll like jump to another character, and there are a lot of musical instruments because they're almost going to be dead soon. So like it's really really well done, and like that episode was great, except for like the final minute. But yeah, it was. After season 6, it fell off a cliff. It was so terrible. But you know, you tell me. Well, actually, it's two comments here. John says, agreed. It's a rare occasion of the show complimenting the books. Yeah, it really was. And John says he probably saw the final episode and said right the opposite. Probably, yeah. But no, Tom, I want to hear like your reactions to the show. Like how'd you like it? Like what do you think of the characters? What do you think of stuff? So go ahead.
once I got through, and I still have questions, some of which this is going to be Game of Thrones educational for me. I'm probably going to look a little stupid, but that's okay. I really did like it, and I liked it, of course, more once I got a better feel for who all the characters are, because it's a lot of characters at once, and just kind of figure out, like, I knew that they were like together, and then but I didn't know how they were related. So, and then actually Carmen there is saying that Lannister, Stark, and I'm gonna butcher these names. So tell me you're a newbie to Game of Thrones, and tell me you're a newbie. What is it, Targaryen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, Carmen was kind enough to tell me to like kind of break it up that way. And that kind of helped more. Then I could kind of figure out like the family tree sort of thing about it. But I feel like I'm going to like it a lot more once I am able to do that. But yeah, this is a different show for sure, because I've heard that there's that it would, like, there was a lot of like sex in it. I don't know how else to put it, but I didn't realize it was like this much. Man, Peter Dinklage was showing up and showing out there in like the first scene of like one of the early scenes of the first episode. So I didn't know it was going to be like that. So, but yeah, it's really unique, and I do like it so far. I was actually skeptical, because I feel like like epic stories, or I guess would you consider this under like the fantasy genre?
It's a weird mix of fantasy and like political maneuvering. It's like it's almost like House of Cards meets the was it the Ring?
Flintstones.
No, not the Flintstones. No, it's like Lord of the Rings meets House of Cards almost. I don't know if that makes sense.
I didn't see House of Cards, actually, and nor did I see Lord of the Rings. See, here's the thing: I'm not like typically into it, but I am giving it the old college try, though, because typically I would just be like nah, I don't want to watch that, because I think like I won't that I won't like it, but I do like this. I think I will end up liking it. It's just really confusing at first, but I also suffer from a disease called amoeba brain, so that's part of it, probably part of it too. But what, like, and I actually didn't even know that like there's going to be like sounds so dumb, like, because everyone's like, how do you not know this, Quacky? There's like going to be dragons in it and stuff.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So the House of Cards thing is like, I don't think you need to watch that to know what that's about. It's like a lot of political backstabbing that happens in Washington. I actually heard a politician say, I think it was Thomas Massey who was saying it. He said he's the congressman from Kentucky. He said that House of Cards was extremely accurate until they got to the part where people in Congress had a plan. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, there's a lot of political backstabbing that occurs in that show, and also this one. Like vying for power and whatnot. As you saw in the first episode, the Hand of the King died, and you're like, okay, why did he die? You might assume it's because of one thing, but it might be because of something else. And you're wondering, like, oh, is Ned Stark's life going to be in danger now that he's the Hand of the King? So like, is people vying for power, and that's the House of Cards aspect of it. But then you have the fantasy element, where the first scene of the first episode is a White Walker decapitating one of the members of the Night's Watch, and so you have this like gargantuan humanoid who's apparently been gone. That the White Walkers have been gone for 8,000 years in the show. So you have that, and then you also mentioned the dragons, which, like, I'm sure that many people, even who haven't watched it, have seen the commercials and whatnot. Yeah, so there are dragons as well. There's some other things too. Like there are giants and stuff like that as well. And so like it's like fantasy meets like political backstabbing. It's just very unique that way. John echoed that. He said House of Cards meets Lord of the Rings. I think it's pretty accurate. No, I was not even Lord of the Rings fan. I watched the first movie. I was like almost fell asleep during it. Like, I thought it was boring. House of Cards, I watched the first season and a half. My wife got bored of it, so we stopped watching, but I liked it. I want to keep going. So I'm gonna watch it eventually. So
John, like you know nothing exactly. I do know nothing. Well, that's
sorry, real quick, Tom. That's a quote from the show. You know nothing, and then someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't bat an eye there. I agree with you. It's because I live under a rock. Well, no, I was living under the overpass until we got your super chat. So I appreciate you, John. So now I'm out from under my rock, and I know there's dragons in it. Hey, you know what I recognized Joffrey from? Do you remember? He was the kid. He had like a cameo role in Batman Begins. Do you remember? And he's like, when Batman, he doesn't take his mat, but he tells, and he's like, it's not who I am, but what I do that defines me. And like the little kids there, that's Joffrey. I didn't realize that.
You know what's funny about the Joffrey actor? Maybe you don't know this quite yet. Maybe you got a hint of it in episode 2. But he's like this completely despicable human being. And so it's funny because he was talking about how apparently what everyone says is like he's like the nicest guy in real life, this actor. I think his name's Jack Gleason or Jack something or something Gleason. And so but he was telling the story. He's like, you don't know how many times I'm walking down the street and then people go like, "F you, Joffrey," and then it's like the nicest guy. Yeah, he's a great actor. I heard that he's a great person, but it's funny that he gets that. And I think it's a testament to how good of an actor he was. So like people hated him so much.
Right?
Such a phenomenal job. This guy. Like you'll see if you keep watching. He's amazing.
For sure. Yeah, that's if you hate their character, that's a great performance. Do you remember you saying Game of Thrones has seasons you shouldn't watch, just like The Office did, but in the last 2 seasons of The Office, do you remember a character named Kathy who was like a potential, like she was interested in Jim, and like that was part of the storyline that they're like, I guess that actress, I can't remember her name, she gets like a lot of hate all the time, like fuck you, like for trying to, it's like it's a work of fiction. It's a work of fiction. Like, it's funny. But how old is Joffrey supposed to be? Is he like 13 or something?
Yeah, I think like 14 or so in the show. I think that in the books it's different. I think in the books he's like 12. But in the show they aged everyone up. Like Catelyn and Ned look like they're in their 40s. But in the book they're younger than that. Daenerys in the book, which they couldn't do this in real life. Daenerys, I think, is 12 in the first book. When she gets.
Oh, really? You can't do that.
You can take advantage of by Khal Drogo, which is like you can have a 12-year-old girl like
right, yeah,
on there. Like people will be arrested at that point. But but yeah, in the show she's 18 plus. I don't know how old that actress was in season 1, but she was in her 20s, I think. But yeah, they aged everyone up. I think that Ned Stark's oldest son, Rob, I think that in the books he's 15, I want to say. But yeah, in the show he looks like he's 18 or so. So yeah, they definitely aged everyone up. John asking Walt, what actor played the better villain, Joffrey or Ramsay Bolton? I think the Joffrey actor I thought was a lot better. Like Ramsay was I thought he was just so one-dimensional. And Tom doesn't know what we're talking about here, but I want to be like pretty brief. If Tom keeps watching, maybe we'll circle back to this and
for sure. Yeah, have that fire away there, man. Go for it.
Yeah. There are several villains in Game of Thrones, and what I really liked about the show is that like there's no like, very few like really like good like people on the show, and like very few bad people. Like obviously there are some scumbags like Joffrey, and then you'll see Ramsay Bolton. And then there are some really good people, but like it's very like I feel like everyone else is in this gray area where like you could say if they're doing good things it's for their family, but like if you're looking at it from for example from the Lannisters perspective, and they get into kind of a feud with the Starks is what the Starks are doing is bad for them, and so you kind of understand it from that perspective. And like this Jaime character, who might seem despicable in the first 2 episodes, and he really is for a while. He has this like great scene. I think it's in season 3 or 4 when he's talking to this woman, and he kind of explains like why what he did in the past, which you'll learn as well. And like it was just an amazing scene, and they really redeemed his character. And it was like such great character building in the show, and that's like the main thing. Like, yeah, there's I feel like a lot of great things about Game of Thrones, but like the character development was just off the charts. Yeah, hot tub. John saying hot tub scene. Yeah, he's talking to a woman in a hot tub, and it was just fun. One of the best scenes in the show. It's amazing.
Okay, what was that in season 1?
No, I think it's season 3 or 4. I want to say season 3, but I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. But good.
You wrote the autobiography or the biography on this. How many like episodes are in each season ish? Is it 10 or is it one of those that there's a ton?
So in the first 6 seasons, there are 10 in all 6 of them, and episode 9 is notorious for being insane. Like even season 1, there's always a shock. There's always like if it's not a major character development, there might be a huge battle, something like that. Something crazy goes down in episode 9 of every season. But then you get to the final 2 seasons, they cut them short. I think like actually season 7 and 8, I think were supposed to be one season, and they split it in half. Which like I think that pissed off George R. Martin, because George R. Martin said he wanted 13 seasons to like really fulfill like what he wanted to write, but they're like, no, let's only do 8 seasons. And it's like, really, you don't want more Game of Thrones? Like, and the showrunners by the end, they were I feel like they just got lazy because they got hired. They just wanted to get to their next job, which is really a shame. But karma came around because they got fired from Star Wars.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, that's like they were gonna. You were saying the last 2 seasons were bad, and they were gonna do 5 more. Maybe it's better if they did, or you think it would have been like a different and more intriguing storyline.
Well, they should have got new showrunners. Like if those 2 guys wanted to go to Star Wars so badly, just HBO should have hired people who actually care about the show and had good ideas and kept the show going. Because like after season 6, it was definitely still redeemable. After season 7, I felt like a lot of the damage was done. Season 7 was like it was a husk of what the show used to be, and like it wasn't just like the plot that was wrong. Like the characters, what they did to these characters made no sense. Like smart characters became dumb characters became smart, and like some of the actions taken by the characters made no sense at all. So that's why I tell everyone to stop after season 6, because it became a different show, really.
How many seasons would you say, like the average show, like obviously like The Simpsons or South Park, they've got 800,000, but like, I mean, I get what you said. They made 8 total, right? I still think that's a pretty good amount of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, generally, like Lost is one of my favorite shows of all time. That was 6 seasons. I think 6 is a good amount. When like cartoons are different because like they're not like these like. Obviously, voice actors could change, but like actors will want to do something else with their lives, rather than be on a show for the entire life, But like cartoon characters, obviously, you don't have that issue. So like Stan, Kyle, and Cartman and Kenny, they could be 3rd graders or 4th graders for 30 plus years. Nothing impacts that.
Yeah.
Carmen.
Well, hey, Carmen, you'll have to tune in. Maybe we'll do a weekly thing. We'll do a weekly check-in episode by episode and break it down once I actually know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I would love that. She says I can't wait for Tommy to finish season 1. Yeah, season 1, episode 9 is quite the surprise there. So I can't wait for you to see that.
Yeah, but I will dig into it too. I was reluctant maybe at first, but I am enjoying it so far. I just need to figure out who everybody is. Can you draw me like a family tree for me and fax it over to me? That'll be helpful. Do you know anyone uses a fax machine anymore? Sorry, real quick to interject. Does anybody fax things anymore?
Last time I used a fax machine, I worked at a mortgage company and it was 2007. So we had to fax stuff all the time for like appraisals and stuff like that, and whatever. Right. So yeah, we had to do that. I feel like if you're in that line of business, you might have to. But
yeah, that's true.
but yeah, for the most part, yeah, I feel like normal people aren't doing that anymore. So,
normal people.
yeah,
I communicate exclusively through fax, Walt. So what does that say? Okay,
no, like my parents, when I was a teenager, they had a fax machine in the basement, and like they would use it sometimes. But like now, there's no need for it. I feel like with email and whatnot, you can scan something in, just take a picture of it and send it. Like you just don't need to do that anymore. It's like obsolete.
I can't remember if I asked you this last week. Did you ever have a beeper?
Oh no, I was not. First of all, no one was calling me. Okay, like so I didn't need a beeper.
Sorry, I'm laughing with you, not at you.
That's okay. It's true that I had 2 friends in high school. One lived next door, so I didn't even have to call him; I'd just pop on over. And the other guy lived down the street, basically a couple blocks away. So we were always hanging out. We'd make plans in school beforehand to be like, hey, tonight you want to go to the movie? Sure. Like, so we didn't need to call each other. I got
each other.
Right. I got no action, as we talked about before. Not until college anyway. So like there were no girls hitting me up. So
you probably would have had a third friend. What was that guy you went to buy the Super Nintendo? You're like, oh, either you hang out with me or get the Super Nintendo, and you're like, oh, you get the Super Nintendo. So part of that, you brought upon yourself, I think.
Yeah, no. For people who didn't hear it, the story was I was hanging out with this guy Will. We were friends. He's from my neighborhood. He's a couple blocks away as well. We're just my parents had a pool, and we're like this is 92, I want to say. So we're like 10, and so we're just hanging out by the pool, and it was in the afternoon. My dad comes home from work, and he promised me for my birthday to go get a Super Nintendo. And my dad's like, "Oh, are you ready to go get a Super Nintendo?" And I was like, "Oh, hey, Will, you want to come?" And Will's like, "Oh, my parents won't let me go." I'm like, "Oh, that sucks." And then my dad's like, "Well, I mean, we have to go now because we have plans later." And Will looks at me. He's like, "Well, do you want? You can go get the Super Nintendo, or we can hang out." And I'm like, I want the Super Nintendo."
I would have made the same choice.
The Super Nintendo is great, man.
Man, that is freaking great. I'm gonna go get the Super Nintendo. I would have made the same decision, and I wouldn't have batted an eye either, huh?
I didn't, and I have no regrets, man. We never hung out again. It was you must have not taken too kindly to that.
Yeah, and then think of all the money, the monthly, charges you saved on not having to get a beeper as a result. So you were. Time for X-rays and a checkup. I saw a payphone, and I was on in downtown, the downtown area, and it was inoperable. I actually did pick it up to see if it was a ringing sound, but yeah, there's still like a payphone. I bet there's some people that don't even know well, they could probably recognize that it's a phone, but I've never seen one. Is what I mean. So anyhow, quick aside.
Yeah, that I don't know if you ever saw those Cleveland tourism videos, but one of the line is like, "Who the F still uses a payphone?" It's like,
yeah, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I love those videos. They're so great.
That was the first one I've seen in I mean, I want to say like a decade.
Yeah, I used to use them all the time. It's crazy that it just went away. John says, my 8-year-old nephew asked why we burned CDs. He thought we set them on fire. I felt really old. I used to burn so many CDs. I used to burn like all these great mixes, and like I would just listen to them. Like, I mean, you went to Penn State with me. You know how big the campus is. So if you have to go like one end of the campus to the other, it was like 30-minute walk or almost like that. So I would just like listen to CDs all the time that I burned. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I burned a lot of I remember you could actually buy like just a device that was a CD burner. Like most computers had it, but I remember there was a kid from my school, like it was just a CD burner. Like you just stuck it in there and did the whole thing. Yeah. Like people would have all the, fancy font and Sharpie on it and stuff. It was just, it's aesthetically nostalgic, like it's nostalgic from an aesthetic perspective for me.
Yeah, I wasn't too creative with my CD names. Like it would be like 2000 Volume 1, 2000 Volume 2. And like I found my old CDs when I was moving my office down from upstairs to the basement. And I'm like, man, I wonder what's on these. I don't want to like go through all of them. Like, I just wish I like gave myself a hint as to what was on these. It's like
Walt's Booty Shaking Mix 1999.
Oh yeah.
Remember Jock Jams? Remember Jock Jams?
Yeah.
Floppy disk 3.5A. Yeah, that's right.
Floppy disk. Yeah, it's crazy now. Like nothing could fit on a 3.5 megabyte disk. Like literally nothing. Like the first hard drive I had was a Mac Performance 575. It had 250 megabytes of hard drive space. Like that's like a video. A video is more than that now.
What were we saving to them at the time? I can't even remember. It's like Word documents or something.
Yeah, I used to have that. Well, I used to have like some cool games on there. Like I told you about like Seventh Guest. Yeah. Number Munch. I remember that. Seventh Guest. This is cool, like a battle strategy game called Legions. Like I played that, like that, and Willie Beamish.
As excited as I did about Number Munchers. Continue.
Yeah, no, Willie Beamish was cool. I told you about that in the past.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so they had some good games back then. I guess like the graphics were bad that they didn't take up much memory, but although they used to have to like insert the disc too, so it's not like they saved everything to it.
Right. I actually think, Carmen, I love it too. I am actually thinking about 100% serious. I want to stream Number Munchers. Nice. Like I think I want to see like how many people know it. You know, that could bring back nostalgia. Also, to show you all how smart I am, I can do like simple multiplication and stuff. You know,
so, that'd be amazing. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I bet I could find it online. I could probably find it in like 20 minutes or less.
Oh yeah.
We're not going to do it now, obviously.
Yeah, we have Game of Thrones to discuss, Tom. How dare you talk about Number Munchers?
I got Number Munchers on the brain over here. Sorry.
No, I want I don't know, like any other impressions from the show. Like what did you like? What did you maybe were like concerned that you might not like, or any characters stood out? Like any plot lines stood out? Like what do you really think happened to John Aaron? Like let me know.
Yeah, like I think it's interesting. What's the deal? I mean, I guess everyone here. I think I'm the only one left in the world that's never seen it, so I guess I don't need to say spoiler alert. Mm-hmm. But it's like, what was that like? I remember hearing that this was a thing, but it's like the Lannister brother and sister are getting down on the farm together, I guess, for the best way to put it. Like, I didn't know it was going to be like that. It's just like that threw me for a loop. But I think I remember hearing murmurs that might be a recurring theme. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, with them, yes, and especially with one of them. But yeah, and also like I told you this before we started recording. Like the Targaryens used to inbreed all the time because they wanted to keep their bloodlines pure for riding the dragons. But no, obviously, if King Robert found out that his wife was cheating on him. Well, first of all, just cheating on him but cheating on him with her twin brother, like both of them would be put to death. And so he even said in that first scene where you introduced to them when John Aaron is he's in that's his funeral or whatever. They're like, oh, the secret died with him, and if anyone knew, our heads wouldn't be on spikes. So so yeah, it's like I mean that's definitely a big part of it. And were you more surprised by that incest, or were you surprised that
I didn't think that's what Bran was going to climb up to the wall to see? Of all the things that I thought it might be, that was probably the last thing on my list.
Yeah, you even had the foreshadowing of his mom saying, "Don't climb again." Right.
Every time you lie, you look down at your feet.
Yep. And so and so he climbs and were you more surprised by the incest or the surprise that Jaime Lannister pushed him out the window?
Well, I mean both, but I guess I wasn't. I mean, it's not like that was like the last thing I expected him to see in there of all the things. But yeah, right. Then I was just as surprised to see him pushed out of the window as well. But tell me, maybe I noticed something in the very opening scene where they discover all like the frozen corpses. It looked to me like they were like when they zoomed out from it that like it was like the corpses were like arranged in a pattern of sorts.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember looking at that. I was like, I wonder if that somehow plays into it, and if that's foreshadowing that's only seen, by the observant viewer sort of thing. So, but maybe I could be completely wrong. Am I?
No. They made a symbol on purpose. So yeah.
Oh, all right. So, hey, count it. 2 points for Quacky here.
That's right.
Yeah. Do I have a favorite character or house yet, Carmen? I can barely pronounce the characters' names yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I know enough about them yet. But I will certainly let you know. Yeah, it's so much information, Carmen. I was over here. I asked you like 15 or 20 questions beforehand because I didn't want to look even dumber coming on here. So
yeah. Well, I mean, did any character stand out? Like, I know that it's hard to follow everyone, but did anyone stand out to you?
I don't know. I think Brand actually, because of like the fence climbing thing, and now just I guess the intrigue of the second episode where like they thought he wasn't going to make it, and then they said he's laying in the bed and things are happening around him. I'm intrigued with his storyline because I think that's like something's going to materialize or develop there with all those things happening around him. Like laying in that bed. So yeah, so I'm interested to see. I would say Brand stood up. That was the first character that I remember because of the bow and arrow at the beginning, and I was like, okay, like let's start with this. Who is this? That's trying to figure out who each character was. So yeah, I think something's going to happen there. So
who do you think sent the assassin?
Oh geez, I don't know. let me hang on. Let me refer to my notes here. Let me look at my Game of Thrones scorecard. No, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to say because I wasn't even pronouncing some of the characters' names right, like I said beforehand. I don't know. I have maybe next week when or next time we're on, I'll have some better predictions here or some better insight. It's just been a lot to take in. So
yeah. John says Hodor is his favorite character. You've seen Hodor in one scene when the king comes into Winterfell and greets everyone. You can actually see Hodor on the side. Hodor is if you rewatch that scene, he's the biggest person in that scene. He's just a giant guy, and he only knows one word, Hodor. That's it. And that's what they call him. They don't really know his name. They assume it's Hodor, and that's why he keeps saying his name. But there's a lot to Hodor, like a lot. So he becomes like pretty essential down the road. But yeah, everyone loves Hodor, and you'll soon hear him say Hodor eventually.
Okay. Geez, how about the scene at the end of episode 1, right before? Now hang on. I want to get the character name right. Khal Drogo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jason Momoa, Khal Drogo. Geez, they're having like it's like a freaking orgy out there.
Yeah,
like they're having like that huge party. It's like literally an orgy. I guess that was their version of Coachella Music Festival, huh?
Right. It's funny that like they even said like, oh, it's a wedding. Like there are typically like 7 deaths at the Dothraki wedding. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I was the first thing I thought of. That was their Coachella. Yeah. Anyhow, but yeah, it's I'm interested to see where it goes. And what you said, there's 10 episodes per season.
That's right. So you're 20% done of season 1. 20%. So
we don't need to bring into it, but yeah, no, I'll probably I don't know. I think I can have the first season done by the next time I come on the show.
Really?
I think
okay.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say, and I feel like by the time this like the NFL off season's over, you're gonna be like an expert at Game of Thrones, and you're gonna be correcting me. So
yeah, I'll be writing the remixed autobiography that you wrote. No, it's yeah, I am definitely intrigued, and especially you mentioned what you said, episode 9 of the season is good. I'll have the first season knocked out by next time, and then I can, maybe have some more interesting comments. So
I look forward to hearing it. So yeah, we're coming up on 1:30 a.m. I actually might go to Wawa and get some soup just because like the only thing I had for dinner was SpaghettiOs just because like I can't eat anything really like except for liquids at this point, and I could like almost feel like the pain coming back, so I may have to take one of these pills that they gave me here, so I might have to do that soon. But
did you get like the Ninja Turtle SpaghettiO shapes, or what was or just normal?
Well, they're alphabets. Actually,
okay.
Actually, these SpaghettiOs I've had since what was it? February of 2000. No, sorry, no, it's 2000. February of 2020. I've had these SpaghettiOs in my basement. Actually, when my friend came over, he like we walked by to this main section of the basement. He like walked by our canned goods. He's like, you like SpaghettiOs, huh? I'm like, yes, I got. I got a ton of them, and the story was I got so many SpaghettiOs in February of 2020 because I heard about COVID, and I knew that like I'm like, hey, I should like buy all these canned goods, and so like whenever I went out, I would stop at either CVS or like a grocery store, and I get like 10 or 12 cans of food. I did this like 20 times. I must have. So I had like hundreds of canned food. Just like I thought that like maybe the supply lines would be disrupted for a couple months. And so like, you know, I don't know, like maybe you hear these stories about like some grocery stores, they had nothing for a while, like in big cities. So I thought that like I kind of anticipated that. Now that never really happened. But I thought that there was a chance it might. And I'm like, worst case scenario, I'll just eat the SpaghettiOs in the future. And so the future is now, and now I'm not eating these spaghetti.
Exactly. That made me think of this story. Do you remember the soda Surge? Remember Surge? It was like that.
Yeah.
Green, I love the font. I love the can, the design of the can. There was this kid. He was a year ahead of me in high school. He loved Surge. Like we would go to his house. He would have like in the garage like cases of Surge. And then they stopped making it. They did start making it again recently. You don't see it often, but it is out there. And he had saved after they stopped making it. He had so much on hand. He drank it all except for one can of Surge. He kept it in there like forever. And this kid, Rich, that was from we were all like hanging out, and he opens the fridge. He's like, oh, I'm going to get a drink. He opens the fridge and he sees that one can of Surge that he's been saving. He goes, whoa. He's like, I didn't know they still made this stuff. And he opens, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I was like preserving that forever. And that's what I thought when you said you misspoke. You said the SpaghettiOs from 2000. It's like, what are you going for the world record oldest SpaghettiOs there, Walt?
Right. No, that would be pretty gross because they're already expired, but like they still taste good. You know, they're only like a year past expiration, which like canned foods, like I feel like could last like 5 years almost. But no.
Wait, really? It wasn't bad? It was a year past expiration? It wasn't bad?
Oh no, it was fine. I've been eating it from time to time. It's not bad. Canned foods last forever. But
I guess that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, but it's funny that you bring up that thing. The same exact thing happened to me. They brought back Crystal. Remember they brought back Crystal Pepsi like several years ago, and so I saved a can of Crystal Pepsi, and it wasn't even my friend, my wife's friend comes over, and they open the fridge. They're like, oh, I'll take this Crystal Pepsi. I wasn't even downstairs, so I didn't see it happen. And like I walked downstairs, and he's drinking this Crystal Pepsi. I'm like, oh, come on, man. I was saving it for so long, and he just thoughtlessly drank it. So.
Oh man, that sucks. Remember Fresca? Do you remember or RC Cola?
RC, yep. You could probably buy that stuff at the grocery store.
I still see an RC, but I haven't seen Fresca in like 20 years at least.
I think my wife's parents had Fresca. The first time I ever went to her house, she's like, "Oh, do you want anything to drink?" I was like, "Yeah, do you have any soda?" And like, I looked at she's like, "Hey, look, we have soda in the fridge," and I think it was Fresca. I really think they had it.
Really?
Yeah.
Remember Fruitopia?
I don't remember Fruitopia. No.
Oh yeah, it was like a bottled like fruit. I think it was like fruit soda, sorta. Or maybe it was just fruit juice, but it came in like a 20. They had vending machines. It was the logo was very colorful and memorable. Tab, oh yeah, Tab. Geez, I haven't seen a Tab in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while either. A lot of old stuff that We'd love to see you come back. Maybe it's just like the member berries. It's like stuff that you didn't like, but like now it's like, oh man, I could go for Tab or a Surge or something.
Or I could use a Fresco about now. So.
Yeah. All right. So like I said, I'm gonna go get some soup because I'm getting hungry here. So it was love doing these episodes with you, Tom.
Man, it's great fun. It's always great fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for everyone for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, John, for the 9/11 super chat. Again, this means a lot to us. YouTube ads pay nothing, like my old boss. So really like getting these super chats. Really appreciate it. And love the Game of Thrones conversation that we had. I'm really hoping that you actually do watch the rest of the first season by the time the next time around.
I definitely will. And hopefully this will be the only the only episode of the show where I'm ignorant where I'm this ignorant. I'll hopefully be well versed by next time. Remember this day, Brand's character standing out.
Yeah, you'll see what he means. You'll see what he means. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, what are you referring to? Yeah, I'm new, Brandon. So first amateur hour over here.
Yeah. Do you want to plug anything here, like your show?
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, come check out Quack TV. It's mediocre gaming and top tier conversation. We got a couple of folks from the stream here, Brandon and Carmen. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you everyone for joining. But I'll probably go on. I think maybe tonight, maybe 30 minutes or an hour after the show. Just have great fun. It's just basically me bantering like this while I play, really difficult Super Mario Kaizo hacks. But Walt's been on to support the stream, and we've had some, great and hilarious conversations. It's always a good time, and hope to see you there. And I'm on Twitter as well, and TikTok. So at QuackyTake.
Yeah, I'll tweet it out when you go live, and I'll pop in and say some stuff. So definitely check out Quacky's stream here. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. Like I said before, we're going to be back on Tuesday with both Jacob, who's back from vacation, and Charlie Campbell, the most accurate NFL mock drafter in the world. So we're going to do a mock draft. We're going to do a show with Kenny on Wednesday and then Tom on Thursday. So looking forward to next week's lineup already. Thanks once again. Thanks for everyone for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. But Tom, always love having you on. And looking forward to next time.
As always, man. All right, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. All right, guys. Talk to you later.